Hello and welcome to Bags of Action. My name is Pete and this is a 5-minute Bags of Action review of the Meg from 2018. A group of scientists exploring the Marianas Trench encounter the largest marine predator that has ever existed, the Megalodon. This was directed by John Turteltaub, who also directed Sorcerer's Apprentice, both the National Treasure movies, Three Ninjas and also Cool Runnings. It was adapted from the novel Meg by Steve Alton, and the screenplay was written by Dean Georgaris, who wrote Lara Croft Tomb Raider, Cradle of Life, Paycheck, the John Woo movie, and also by John Hober and Eric Rober, who between them wrote Red 2, Battleship and My Spy. So a good pedigree of people, really. Essentially, everyone thought this is essentially Jason Statham versus a Megalodon. But there's a little bit more to it than that. So who else is in this film alongside Jason Statham and the Meg itself? There's Bingbing Lee, who you may have seen in Transformers Age of Extinction, Resident Evil Retribution, or The Forbidden Kingdom. Rainn Wilson, who plays Lex Luthor in many of the DC animated movies, was in the US version of The Office and also the film Super. Cliff Curtis is in this film from Collateral Damage, Live Free or Die Hard and Last Nights. Winston Chow from Skip Trace and 1911. Ruby Rose from John Wick Chapter 2. Triple X Return of Xander Cage and Resident Evil The Final Chapter. And of course she was Batwoman on TV, although that's been recast since. Paige Kennedy is in this, who's been in loads of TV shows, including the Rush Hour TV show. And was also in the movie SWAT. Robert Taylor from TV series Longmire and also in Kong Skull Island and Coffin Rock. Olaf Darry Olofsson from Fantastic Beasts, The Crimes of Grindelwald, The Vanishing and the BFG. Jason McNamee from Blackwater Abyss and Chips. And Masi Oka from Heroes and Hawaii Five-0 and movies Death Note and Get Sparked. So the reason I've listed quite so many people is partially to make the point. Went into this film thinking it would be Statham versus a giant shark, and that was it. But this, in many ways, is an ensemble piece. He is one of the crew. He is the main character, that is true, but he's just one of the crew that's involved. One other actor to mention is child actress Shuya Sophia Kai. She's very young. This is only her second screen role, but she steals this movie. Considering all the different people that are in it and considering that there's a massive shark, she's probably the best thing in this film. Anyway, so Statham versus a giant shark with some help from others. It is as silly as it sounds, but like I say, it's more of an ensemble piece than I expected. And I don't know, I'd compare it to something like Deep Blue Sea. I think if you like that, you'd probably like this too. It is in a similar vein. Or a typical creature feature like Godzilla or Kong, with of course a sprinkling of Jaws thrown in for good measure, like any shark movie has. Now, it does reference Jaws at times, but I like the way they do it here. They do it in some very clever ways, with almost taking some shots from the original Jaws movie and making them bigger and sort of knowing and a little bit tongue-in-cheek. Is the Meg ridiculous? Yes. Is it predictable? Extremely. But is it fun? I had bucket loads of fun watching this movie, I have to tell you. It held my interest from the opening frames, and even at its most absurd, it never lost me for a moment. This is a pure popcorn movie, a summer event, and a pure and simple disaster movie that doesn't take itself too seriously, and I think that's exactly what I wanted from it, and it gave me just that. Like a bit of comfort food, I suppose. Now, what I did love about it is it had some emotion when it needed to. You know, there are some times that people are put in jeopardy or lose their life, and it does that well. But it's also really funny at times. And what really took me by surprise was how charming this movie was overall. What can I compare it to? Something like Rampage or Skyscraper. That kind of vein, but without the added charm of The Rock. If anything, I guess this movie was a little bit too family-friendly for me because it's a giant shark film and I wanted a few more genuinely scary moments. Statham's acting limitations. I would love to have seen this film with a young Bruce Willis in the main role. It doesn't get in the way too much, but at times it can be a little bit frustrating. But he has a strong cast around him and I think he works better like this than he does in solo movies. Ruby Rose, for me, personally, is their weak link acting-wise, and she seems almost devoid of any emotion throughout, and that does kind of get in the way. And the character of DJ, played by Paige Kennedy, is a little bit frustrating for me. It's a black character who's there as like a coward, and he's there for comic relief, and I felt that was rather regressive. Even in a big creature film, it did feel like a bit of a step backwards. Now, I went into this film with low expectations, but as a B-movie Friday night film, I mean, this may not be quite as good as something like Tremors, but it's far, far better than lots of other films of this nature. It's a refreshing change to see a shark movie these days with a healthy budget too, and they certainly didn't hold back with what they spent on screen with the Meg. But it helps, it makes it look believable, certainly visually believable, even when the story becomes absurd. And yeah, as I say, Statham's pretty good in it, and he's got a good cast around him. I really like this. There's a sequel planned with the same writers, and surprisingly, British director Ben Wheatley, of all people, is doing it. But I'll be back. I'm along for the ride. I'm sold. I'll happily watch the Meg 2, the Meg 3, the Meg 4 until it gets to the point where Statham is out and there's it's a straight to video version. So, what am I going to do? Okay. Now, through watching this movie, I was veering towards giving it a 4 at times, which is I found very surprising. But I don't think I can. I don't think I can quite give this film a 4 bag rating. And we can't give half bags, so I'm going to have to give the Meg 3 bags of action out of 5. Have you seen the Meg? Do you agree with my assessment of it? Feel free to comment below, or you can get in touch with us. You can do that on email, Facebook, or on Twitter. We have new episodes coming out each week, including our full-length podcast. And don't forget to give us a like and to subscribe to our channel. Hit that bell to get regular notifications. Bags of Action will always be free, but if you'd like to buy us a coffee, you can do that at our Ko-fi page.